Hey, my sweet Kit Kats, check out this fun, inspiring idea. Get yourself a thrifted teacup, saucer, and a spoon if you can find it. I've primed all of those items, and I am going to make some clay molds here to affix all of the way around the plate and some on that teacup. So I am using Jovi clay. You can get that at my link to decor. It does come in a 1.1 pound package, a 2.2 pound. There is a gray Jovi clay as well. I always get the white, but it is the best clay that I have found. And in this particular situation, I am perfectly good if some of that clay shows some cracks or some distressing as it dries. So that's why I chose to use clay on this project. And I'm just making several different molds here. You can see how easy it is to slice off with your palette tool any excess clay that you have. And they literally fall right out. I do use cornstarch, just a light dusting in your mold. So I'm making some flourish pieces there, some flowers. And again, this is just a thrifted teacup, saucer, and a spoon. I've done this a few times before, but it's been a while, so I thought I would do it again. I did not prime the inside of the teacup, but later on in the process, I decided to, as I wanted to paint the inside. So there you see me putting a little cornstarch in the mold. If you get a little bit too much, just flip it over, tap some of that out. You just want a nice light dusting. And I'm making sure that I'm really pushing down on that clay so that I can pick up all of that detail. So I want several of those flowers. And I hope that you will see a bit later on all the amazing fun things you can do to make this a fun piece of decor for your home or a really nice gift as well. I do make sure I wrap up my clay really well. I even tape the top of it, put it back in my bag with a little damp baby wipe just to keep the clay nice. And I'm going to start adhering these with a bit of Titebond Quick and Thick. I definitely want to do that while they're still fresh and moldable. So I'm just kind of deciding if I want this to be something where I can remove the teacup and have some of those castings actually go down onto the plate from the teacup itself. But I decided I didn't want to do that on this one. So I'm just making sure that I don't go down too far onto the saucer so that I can lift the teacup off of here if I want to. And I will say that all the pieces here did have some beautiful texture on them, some flowers and such that will bring to life a little bit later. So I'm very gently just kind of pushing that on. I do make sure that for the next 20 to 30 minutes, I kind of babysit the clay a little bit, and I will come back and give it what I call just a gentle little hug. Just gently push on that clay, make sure that those edges and everything are staying down for you. So I'm going all the way around here with some of those pieces. And you could do this with so many different type of castings. You could do all flowers, you could do roses, you could do all the flourishes and the fun little swirly items. That would be cute. I am putting one right there in the handle, a little flower. And then just make sure that you're coming back often to check that it hasn't pulled away from your piece. I do just very gently kind of make sure that that is happening so that I don't mar up any of the detail of the mold. Couple more cute flowers there. You could really get creative and paint everything different. You'll see in just a bit here that I'm going to paint it with just a few really pretty chalk paints to keep it simple. If I notice that some of that Titebond Quick and Thick is seeping out the sides, I can just come in with a little brush there and whisk it away. Otherwise, it does dry clear. Putting on another flower there. Sometimes using a brush to just brush away your excess Titebond is helpful as well. So that's what we have so far. I love how that's looking. All right, part 2, I've added the rest of the castings that I want to all the way around the cup and the saucer. I'm coming in with a really pretty Waverly chalk paint in the color Agave, and I'm going to paint everything in this color. It does take a couple different coats of this just because as that clay dries and maybe I get some cracks here and there, which I'm perfectly okay with, I want to come back in and make sure I have all of that white covered. And I just thought this was a really nice color for spring and summer, especially when I'm looking out my craft room window and it is very cloudy and dreary today here in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. And then I like to turn my pieces all different ways so I can see if I missed any areas, and more often than not, I do. So it takes me just a bit to make sure I have all of this covered to my liking, getting in all those little nooks and crannies. And I just picked up that Agave Waverly chalk paint some time ago at Walmart. They have those nice little sizes available. I believe it's a 2 ounce. I love that color. Because my items were a slippery surface, I definitely wanted to make sure that I primed them just so that our paint had something to hold on to. And if you find that your chalk paint is just a little bit too thick, you did see there that I squirt just a little bit of water on my plastic piece that I'm putting my paint on. That helps it spread a little bit easily, a little bit more easily, and I can get kind of down in all those areas. I do find with some chalk paints that I need to kind of loosen them up a bit just with a little bit of water. It's already looking so pretty just as is, but hopefully we're going to enhance that detail just a bit. I'm going to give it just a little bit of a dry so I can set it back down. Just want to be careful that I'm not really drying that clay any faster than it already is. That's when your cracks and such seem to form. Okay, I've painted everything now in that really pretty color, Agave. You will see that on the inside of the teacup, I did paint that in a French gold from Paint Couture. And now we're going to come in with the color Pool from Waverly. That's also a chalk paint. I'm just taking a stencil brush there and dry brushing over all of my molds and any detail, just to kind of wake up all the texture. Any raised areas there, I think it's going to be really pretty. Oftentimes I see teacups that have that gold rim around it or a color on the inside, so I thought it would be nice to paint that French gold. I did go ahead and use a Paint Couture Premium 2-in-1 Plus primer on the inside of the teacup. I put 2 coats of that on, allowing it to dry between each layer. And then I came in with that French gold metallic paint from Paint Couture. And I did go back over all of my castings and any raised areas there. That flower was already on the teacup. So I did go over it several times with that pool, just until I got the look I was going for. It's a really nice complement to the agave chalk paint. And it's really fun to see all those pieces just come to life. I do think this would make an amazing gift. If you aren't able to get something like this at your thrift stores, I feel like you could even get it at some of your local stores for a pretty reasonable price. It's going to be garage sale season soon, so I'm hoping to find a few more items like this. So I decided I want a little bit more of that pool chalk paint. Just isn't quite enough for me. Just going a little bit around the edges there. Coming back and doing a little bit more on the saucer as well. Just a little bit on the underside of it so that it all kind of works together. I do seal everything with a sealer of your choice. I use the Paint Couture Extreme Guard Semi-Gloss. And don't be afraid with some of your clay pieces to overlap them or put them on top of each other. Here on the little spoon, I did add 2 butterfly castings that were also clay. One at the very top of the handle and one sitting in the spoon. It is so cute. I am going to come in with some gold wax paste from Pentart, my favorite. I'm going to go around the edges of the teacup, excuse me. Just like some of those you see when you purchase them. And there I want to be a bit heavy-handed. I really want that to show. And then I'm going to also hit all of those castings, those raised details with some of that gold wax paste also. And that to me was the perfect choice. I did get some cracks on some of my castings. When clay dries, it tends to dry from the inside out. If it dries a little bit too fast, which is definitely going to happen with clay, you might get some of those cracks and separation. But on this, I didn't mind a bit. I thought it would just add a little bit more character. If you notice that after your clay dries, you can definitely come in, add a little bit of glue in between those areas that may have separated, and just a little bit more clay to kind of patch those areas works great too. There also was a little bit of texture on the saucer area that was already there, so I'm just kind of enhancing that a bit with that wax paste. And there I'm going around the edges, again, a little bit more heavy-handed. I really want that to show. I think the gold is a nice option on that pretty teal color. And I want to make sure I get that underside. Just want to make sure the whole thing is complete. And I'm being just super gentle on the spoon area. little butterfly castings. Those just came from a Amazon mold. You can find lots of butterfly silicone molds there. Very reasonable. I think that is so pretty. That's what we have so far. I do seal everything and then just showing you a couple of ways that you can decorate. A candle, a little bird's nest, some moss, an LED candle, add a few flowers, put a little bird in there, a trinket piece that perhaps you've made. You can even put a beading with Wayne spider in there. Maybe just some flowers, or put some of your favorite tea. Thank you guys for watching.